Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be talking about how you can become a more effective teacher.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be diving into Harry and Rosemary Wong's The First Days of School, and we're going to be looking at some research and practical strategies.
Sounds great.
I think you're really going to enjoy this one.
Yeah. I think we'll unlock some real classroom magic today.
I think so too.
I'm excited.
And one of the things that surprised me most going through this material
Okay.
was learning that the #1 factor influencing student learning isn't necessarily
What is it?
your in-depth knowledge of a subject.
Huh. Interesting.
It's something else.
What is it?
It's classroom management.
Classroom management. Okay.
I know that might not sound as exciting
Yeah, it doesn't sound very exciting.
as, having that deep knowledge,
Right.
but the research behind this
Yeah.
is absolutely fascinating.
I mean, think about it this way. Even the most brilliant lesson,
Yeah.
it's just going to fall apart if your students can't focus.
Exactly.
Or if they don't feel safe.
It's like you're trying to teach in the middle of a concert.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a really chaotic party or something, or
Yeah.
you can't really hear anything.
Yeah.
You're not going to learn anything in that environment.
Yeah.
So that well-managed classroom is really creating that space for learning.
It is. It really is. And speaking of creating a space, the Wongs are really big on the importance of those first few days of school.
Oh, the first few days are crucial. Yeah.
They're make or break.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
I think so too.
It really sets the tone for the rest of the year.
It does.
If you can start strong and set those expectations and
Yeah.
routines,
Yeah.
then it just makes everything else flow so much smoother.
They tell a story about a student from a high-poverty school,
Okay.
and the student loved the school.
Wow, that's great.
And when asked why, the student said, everyone knows what would do.
That's awesome.
That's the power of routines.
Yeah, and just that sense of predictability for the student
Yeah.
takes away so much anxiety.
It does.
Really allows them to just focus on learning.
And that kind of leads us into a really important shift in mindset,
Okay.
effective teaching. It's not just about covering the material in a textbook.
Oh, it's so much more than that.
It really is. It's about focusing on student accomplishment.
Absolutely. And the Wongs talk about this idea of mastery learning, which we'll get into more later. But it's all about ensuring students truly understand and can apply what they're learning.
Yes.
Not just memorize it for a test.
Right. Speaking of tests, how do we even set the stage for that mastery to happen?
Yeah, how do we do that?
Well, the Wongs have some really practical advice.
Okay.
And it starts with how we prepare our classrooms even before the students arrive.
Oh, that's interesting. Before the students even show up.
Yes.
Okay.
They have a bunch of tips about that.
I'm curious.
So first up, seating arrangements.
Seating charts, yeah.
Seating charts, assigned seating can really be a game changer.
It can save so much time.
It can, and they recommend even using a visual aid, like a projected seating chart, on day one.
Oh, I like that.
So they come in, their name is right up there.
It makes them feel welcome.
Yes, exactly. And another thing, have that first assignment posted before they walk in the door.
Oh, that's a good one.
It sends a message
What kind of message does that
that
send?
you are organized and ready to go,
Yeah, it shows you're prepared.
and that you value their time.
Exactly.
It's like walking into a restaurant and everything is perfectly set.
Yeah, or like a really well-organized store where
Yeah.
everything is just in its place. It
Yes.
just makes you feel good.
It does. It makes you feel like you're in the right place.
Exactly.
The Wongs actually share a story about a teacher named John T. Schmidt,
Okay.
who was so effective that he became like a demonstration teacher
Wow.
after only 2 years in the classroom.
That's amazing.
And one thing that really stood out was his emphasis on procedures.
Procedures. Okay.
And the Wongs make a really interesting distinction between rules and procedures.
Okay, what is it?
Rules, they kind of invite you to break them.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Don't run in the halls.
Right.
But procedures are like steps to be learned.
Okay, so it's like instead of don't run in the halls, it's this is how we walk safely and efficiently from one classroom to another.
Exactly. And it really applies to so many parts of the classroom.
Yeah, give me an example.
Like even something as simple as a quiet signal.
Okay.
You know how some teachers really struggle with that?
Oh, yeah, they're like, be quiet, be quiet.
Yeah, and they're just constantly battling. But other teachers can just like do this.
Inner Ligers?
Yeah, or they have a special signal and the whole room just goes silent.
Like magic.
It's like magic.
That is like magic.
They have a procedure.
And it's practiced, so the students know exactly what to do.
Exactly.
Interesting.
I remember one teacher I observed, she used to give me 5 signal.
What is that?
So they hold up their hand with all 5 fingers spread.
Oh, okay.
And that means
I'm ready to listen.
thighs on the speaker.
That's clever.
Mouths are quiet. Bodies are still. And it worked like a charm.
I bet it
It
did.
really did. Or how about taking roll?
Ugh, yeah, taking roll can be such a time suck.
It can be.
If you don't have a good procedure for it.
But if you have a system in place, like when the kids walk in, they pick up their folder from a bin, you could just glance at what's left and, who's absent.
That's a good idea. I like that one.
You're not wasting time calling out names or having them raise their hands.
Right, it just keeps things moving.
And speaking of keeping things moving, Bill work assignments.
Oh, bell work. Those are great.
They're fantastic.
So the kids have something to do immediately.
Immediately when they walk in the door.
Yeah, it's like that academic warm-up.
It is. They might not be graded, but it just establishes that routine
It sets the tone.
of, okay, we're here to learn.
I love it.
Let's get started. No time for dilly-dallying. And that brings us to the heart of effective teaching.
What's that?
Mastery learning.
Mastery learning, yeah.
This is what the wands are all about. They want to make sure that students don't just hear something, but they understand it and can apply it.
I like that.
They have this 4-step process for creating assignments
Oh, okay.
that really lead to mastery.
I'm all ears.
And it all starts with being super clear about what you want students to be able to do.
That makes sense.
Like if you went to a bakery, you wouldn't just say, I want a cake.
Right, you'd have to give them more information.
You'd be like, I want a chocolate cake with vanilla frosting, and I need it by Saturday at 2 p.m.
Exactly, you have to be specific.
Yes. So you have to give students that same level of clarity,
I see what you mean.
tell them what they need to accomplish,
Yeah.
and then how are you going to know they accomplished it?
Assessment.
Assessment, exactly. And this is where those scoring guides come in.
Rubrics?
Rubrics, yes.
I love a good rubric.
And it's not about trying to trick students. It's about being super clear about what success looks like,
Yes, it helps students understand what they're aiming for.
so they know what to focus on.
I like that.
And then let's talk about assessment.
Mhm.
How do we move from thinking of tests as just a way to evaluate to using them as powerful tools for learning?
Yeah, that's a good question.
The WOMs talk about assessment for learning,
Okay.
and there are actually 2 main types of tests we can use,
Oh, what are they?
formative and summative.
Formative and summative. Okay.
Formative tests are like those in-flight checks that pilots do.
Okay.
Throughout the journey, they're making sure everything's on course. And if it's not, they have time to make adjustments.
So like little quizzes and check-ins.
Yes, like drills, practice quizzes, even those quick exit ticket activities
Yeah, those are great.
at the end of a lesson.
To see if the students are getting it.
Exactly. And then you have your summative tests.
Okay.
Those are like the final landing. They're at the end of a unit
Mhm.
to see what's been learned and to determine a grade. But along the way, you've had all those opportunities to check in.
With the formative assessments?
Yes. And make sure they're on the right track. And you know what's amazing?
What?
Providing specific feedback to students on their work can boost their achievement
Really, by how much?
by a whopping 37%.
37%. Wow, that's huge.
It's not just about giving a grade. It's about giving them those actionable insights that they can use to grow and improve.
I love that.
And that leads us to another important aspect of effective teaching, collaboration.
Teacher collaboration
Yeah.
is so important.
The Wongs actually highlight a school called Pacific Elementary in Sacramento.
Okay.
They had a huge influx of Hmong students, a population that often faces educational challenges.
Right.
But the school was able to meet those needs
How?
by creating a culture of collaboration.
A culture of collaboration.
They implemented grade-level learning teams
Oh, I like that.
that met regularly. And it wasn't about blaming each other. It was about saying, okay, let's look at the student work. Let's figure out where the gaps are and how we can adjust our instruction to reach all learners.
I love that approach.
It's so powerful.
It's like when doctors consult with each other on a difficult case,
Yes.
they bring their collective knowledge and expertise to the table to find the best possible solution for the patient.
And the Wongs recommend a specific structure for these learning teams.
What is it?
It's called the Schmoker model.
The SMOKMA model.
And it's all about analyzing student work, identifying those areas of strength and weakness, and developing action plans for improvement.
So it's like a data-driven approach to professional development.
It is. And again, it's not about blaming anyone.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we can always learn and grow.
And that the best way to do that is by working together.
Yes.
I love that.
And this collaborative spirit, it's a key part of what the WOMs call the teacher leader.
The teacher.
This is someone who's not just surviving from day to day. They're actively seeking out those opportunities to grow, to contribute, to elevate the profession.
So they're kind of like the conductor of the train.
Yes.
They're guiding the journey, making sure everyone arrives at the destination safely.
And they contrast this with a teacher worker
Okay.
who's just going through the motions,
Just kind of punching the clock,
doing the bare minimum.
not really invested in growth.
And the Wongs make it very clear. Becoming a teacher leader is a choice.
A choice.
It's about saying, I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to seek out opportunities to grow. I'm going to make a difference.
It's about taking ownership of your professional journey.
Yes.
I love that.
And you know what's interesting?
What?
They actually dive into the etymology of the word decide.
Oh, that's interesting.
Have you ever thought about where that word comes from?
Not really.
So the prefix D means off or away,
Okay.
and the stem side means cut or kill.
So to decide literally means to cut off possibilities.
Yes.
Wow, I never thought about that.
And they contrast that with the word choose.
Okay.
which has a more positive connotation.
Yeah, it implies a sense of agency.
Exactly.
So we're not just deciding to do things, we're choosing to create the experience we want.
Yes.
That's powerful.
And they connect this back to the choices we make as teachers every day.
Okay.
Are we choosing to be proactive, collaborative, constantly learning, or are we just going to kind of let circumstances dictate our experience?
That's a great question to reflect on.
It is, and I think it's a perfect segue into the final part of this deep dive,
Okay, I'm ready for it.
where we're going to explore even more specific strategies to bring all of this to life in your classroom.
Let's do it. So we've talked about, classroom management and that school culture that really supports everyone.
Yeah, creating that positive environment.
But how do we actually equip teachers with tools
Yes, let's get practical.
to make that happen in their own classrooms?
One of the most fascinating insights from the WOMs is this idea of actually teaching students how to learn.
Oh, that's so important.
I know it seems obvious.
But we often assume that students just come to us knowing how to learn.
Yeah, we think they've got those skills.
But the truth is they need to be explicitly taught.
Yes, like how many of us were actually taught how to take effective notes?
I was
Or read a textbook strategically?
was just told to read the chapter.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody showed me how to actually pull the important information out of it.
And that's like expecting someone to bake a cake
Yeah.
without giving them a recipe.
Or showing them how to use the oven.
Exactly.
So what are some of those tools that we can give students?
Well, the Wongs highlight a couple of really practical techniques.
Okay.
One that stood out to me was the Cornell note system.
Ah, the Cornell note system, yes. A classic.
For a reason.
It's such a simple but effective way to organize notes.
It is, and it encourages active engagement and review.
So how does it work?
Basically, students divide their paper into sections.
Okay.
One for key concepts, one for supporting details, and then one for summary points.
So they're basically creating their own little mini textbook
Exactly.
out of their notes.
And that makes it so much easier to study later on.
It forces them to process the information more deeply, too.
Yes, instead of just passively copying things down.
Yeah. Right. They have to think about it, categorize it, make connections.
And then there's the SQ3R method for reading textbooks.
SQ3R, remind me what that stands for.
Survey, question, read, recite, review.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that one.
It's a structured approach that takes passive reading and turns it into an active learning experience.
I love how they use a buffet analogy to explain it.
Yes.
Imagine going to a buffet and just piling random food on your plate.
Without even looking at what's available.
That's what a lot of aspirants do with textbooks.
They just dive in.
No plan whatsoever.
But with SQ3R, they first survey the chapter,
Okay.
they get a sense of the main ideas, formulate questions they want answered, and then they read with a purpose.
So they're looking for those answers as they
Yes.
go.
They recite key points to themselves, and finally they review what they've learned.
It's like having a map for that textbook jungle.
It is. It gives them a strategy.
And these are skills that they can use beyond school, too.
Oh, absolutely. These are life skills.
Think about how much easier college would be
Or even just reading for pleasure.
if you knew how to approach a text strategically.
Yeah, it would make a huge difference.
And another important skill we should be teaching students is how to work effectively in groups.
Oh, yes. Collaboration is key.
In pretty much every field these days.
But so often we just throw students into group projects
Yeah.
without giving them the tools they need to be successful,
It's like saying, okay, go build a house together.
without teaching them how to use the tools.
Exactly. Or how to work as a team.
So the WOMs offer a really helpful structure for group activities.
Okay, what is it?
They start by emphasizing the importance of clearly defined roles
Oh, okay, so everyone knows what they're responsible for.
and responsibilities within the group.
Makes sense.
And they even suggest like assigning group names,
Oh, that's smart.
determining the appropriate group size,
Okay.
outlining the purpose of the activity.
And then listing the materials they'll need.
Exactly.
So it's all laid out for them.
But perhaps most importantly, they stress the need to explicitly teach those procedures
Oh, yeah, those procedures again.
for working together effectively,
Like what?
like active listening,
Oh, that's a big one.
respectful communication, conflict resolution.
And how to divide tasks fairly.
Yes.
So it's not enough to just say, okay, go work together.
No, we have to actually teach them how to do it.
Model those skills, give them opportunities to practice, and provide feedback.
And it's interesting to think about how these principles apply not just to students,
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
but to teachers as well.
We can use those same skills in our professional lives.
Exactly.
The Wongs talk about this idea of the teacher leader,
Yes, someone who embodies those qualities.
of collaboration, continuous learning.
Commitment to excellence.
And they contrast that with the teacher worker,
Right, who's just kind of going through the motions.
just doing the bare minimum.
And they give some really insightful lists
Oh, really? Like what?
of characteristics that distinguish the two.
Give me an example.
Well, for instance, a teacher leader is always seeking out new knowledge and ideas,
Okay, so they're reading professional journals,
attending conferences, collaborating with colleagues.
whereas a teacher worker might resist those opportunities.
Yes, they might complain about new initiatives and operate in a silo.
Just kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah, and the Wongs emphasize that becoming a teacher leader is a choice.
It is.
It's a conscious decision to be proactive, to seek out those opportunities to grow,
Even when it's challenging.
even when it's uncomfortable.
And they talk about the etymology of the word decide.
Yes, I love this part.
What does it mean? Well, the prefix D means off or away,
Okay.
and the stem side means cut or kill.
So to decide means to cut off possibility.
Exactly.
And they contrast that with the word choose,
Which implies more agency.
more empowerment.
So it's not just deciding to do things, we're choosing to create the experience we want.
Yes.
That's a really cool distinction.
And they connect this back to the choices we make as teachers every day.
Oh, okay, I see where you're going with this.
Are we choosing to be proactive?
Or are we letting circumstances control us?
Exactly. Are we leading or are we following?
That's a powerful question.
It is.
And I think it's the perfect segue into the final part of our deep dive.
Where we'll explore even more specific strategies for bringing all of this to life in the classroom.
I can't wait.
So we've talked about all these, practical strategies and creating the right environment.
Yeah, a well-managed classroom where the students feel supported and ready to learn.
But now let's talk about something a little bit less tangible.
Okay, what's that?
Positive expectations.
Positive expectations.
The Wongs talk about this idea of really believing in your students' potential,
Oh, I love that.
even when they might doubt themselves.
Sometimes they need that extra boost of confidence.
They do, and they share a story about a teacher who transformed her classroom just by changing the way she spoke to her students.
Really just her language.
Her language, like instead of saying, "Don't forget your homework,"
Right.
she would say, "I know you'll remember to bring your homework tomorrow."
It's subtle, but it makes a big difference.
It does.
It's like you're planting that seed of belief in them.
It is.
And they start to believe in themselves, too.
And there's research that shows this kind of positive reinforcement can really impact student motivation and achievement.
Yeah, it's amazing how powerful our words can be.
They are.
Especially for young people.
They're looking to us for guidance and support.
And the Wongs also talk about the importance of creating a sense of community in the classroom.
Oh yes, community is so essential.
They suggest things like having students create class agreements together
Oh, that's a good one.
so they feel like they have a voice.
And a sense of ownership over the classroom.
Yeah, and celebrating each other's successes.
Building each other up.
Exactly, and even starting each day with a positive affirmation or a shared activity.
Like a morning meeting.
Yeah, where everyone can connect and feel like they belong.
And that sense of connection extends beyond the classroom walls.
Oh, absolutely.
The Wongs talk about building strong relationships with parents.
Parental involvement is so crucial.
It is. They suggest things like sending welcome letters before the school year even starts.
Oh, that's nice.
Scheduling regular parent-teacher conferences.
Keeping those lines of communication open.
And just being available to answer questions.
Being present.
And addressing concerns.
Yeah, building those partnerships.
And you know what else is super important?
What's that?
Taking care of yourself.
Oh, yes, self-care is not selfish.
It is not.
It's essential.
Especially in a demanding profession like teaching.
It's so easy to get burnt out.
It
Because
is.
you're not taking care of your own needs.
The Wongs remind us you can't pour from an empty cup.
That's so true.
So they encourage things like setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, and seeking support when you need it.
It's about recognizing that you're a human being first.
Yes.
And a teacher second.
And when you take care of yourself, you're better equipped to take care of your students.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's just take a moment to reflect on everything we've learned.
Okay.
We talked about the power of classroom management, the importance of clear procedures,
Teaching students how to learn.
positive expectations, building relationships, and taking care of ourselves.
And it all comes back to that idea of being a teacher leader.
It does.
Making those conscious choices to be proactive.
Collaborative.
Continuously learning and always striving for excellence.
And the Wongs leave us with a really powerful message.
Oh, what is it?
They say, you don't just make a difference, you are the difference.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So as you continue your journey as an educator, remember that you have the power to shape lives, inspire minds, and create a brighter future for your students.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and feel energized and inspired to go out there and make a difference.
And remember, you are the difference.